There's a new bastard in town, and his name is Zhang Liang. He's the first boss in the Soulsy Ninja Gaiden Neo-like Wolong Fallen Dynasty, and like Margit before him, he's giving people a hard time.
Oh no, this is death, and he killed me.
Yeah.
Okay. Ay, no.
Zhang Liang is a different kind of gatekeeper for a different kind of game. I wanted to know what makes him tick, so I studied him. This is not a guide to beating Zhang Liang, it's a guide to understanding why he's so good at crushing you like the vermin you are. Step 1 of my experiment was to make my avatar look as much like Mr. Bean as the character editor would allow. That way, when I was bumbling and fucking up and making a huge mess of things, I could pretend it was roleplay. The next step was to remove the block button from my controller, because we will not be needing it. I got Mr. Bean to level 4, running through the game's starting area. Then we were ready to fight. Once we're in the arena, we take a look at the lay of the land. It's a roundish arena that slopes upward away from our starting point. Unlike some boss fight arenas, this one doesn't do much to add to the difficulty. There's no weird corners to get stuck on, and you can't fall off. The only complicating factor here are these 6 stone pillars that can obstruct your view until they're destroyed. But that's just a minor hindrance. Just like your companion. The blindfolded boy will be with you during this fight no matter what, and he is useless. He's the exact opposite of Rogier or Aurelia. I can't attribute any losses directly to the boy, but he's very good at throwing you off your rhythm, whether he's attacking or getting attacked. Don't believe his lies. But like I said, that's small potatoes. I think Zhang's difficulty has everything to do with Zhang himself, the many meters, sliders, and rules of Wolong, and the inherent challenge of multi-phase boss fights. But let's start with Zhang. I dropped into the arena and switched into observation mode. This is a thing I recommend doing in literally any boss fight you're having trouble with. Managing offense, defense, and the desire to win is a lot to take on at once. So we're gonna remove all of those expectations and just run around while watching him, or stand there and take his hits. With the try-hard brain space freed up, we're free to just look for patterns. For example, he opens every single fight with this big overhead. Then other patterns emerge. His moveset seems to be centered around counterclockwise spinning club strikes and overhead slams. Just about everything he's going to do in the first phase will be a variant of these 2 moves. Emphasis on variant. Subtle differences in his moves can throw you off. This counterclockwise spinning strike can chain into another spinning strike. But this one, where Zhang momentarily switches to a one-handed grip, can chain into a leaping overhead strike. Different attacks means different timings, means more opportunities to get blindsided by a bonk you didn't see coming. He also has a few unblockables that can only be deflected, which is Wolong's word for parrying. And just like Margit, he makes use of a delayed rhythm. Both of them have animations that punish you for reacting too soon. His big golf club swing takes a beat to dig into the earth before unleashing. And his dashing strike feels like it should be parried the moment Zhang reaches you, but there's actually a slight delay as he plants his feet to swing. All that said, the timing of Zhang's phase 1 combos is kind of moot, because if you deflect the first strike, he staggers and won't finish the rest of the combo. You can even eat the first hit, then deflect the second one if you don't panic mash the deflect button. After you whittle his health bar down to nothing, Zhang goes freak mode and enters phase 2. And this is where you're going to decide whether or not you want to keep playing Wolong. He's bigger and uglier, and everything he does hits harder. Every one of his techniques is new. He'll open every round with this double clockwise tentacle sweep, and if you deflect it, you'll pick up on another important difference from phase 1 Zhang. Freak mode Zhang's combos keep going even after a deflect, so you gotta learn their full timing. His syncopated timing still feels deliberately designed to throw you off, but you can pick up on the cues with practice. One of his big tells in this round is dropping his club to the ground. He'll do it a beat before shooting this big wave of rock spikes. Same deal with this standard clockwise club swing. It's jazz, baby. His unblockables also hit like an absolute truck in this phase. This triple running upswing is terrifying to see coming at you, and the big dragon arm grab can delete most of your health bar in a second. But if you understand Wolong's combat systems, both of these moves are like Zhang just begging for you to kill him. So let's talk about deflecting. Let's talk about the rules. As gatekeeper bosses, both Margit and Zhang Liang are teachers, but their teaching styles are drastically different. Margit is more the mysterious martial arts master who teaches in riddles and open-ended challenges.
Do or do not. There is no try. snatched the pebble from my hand.
You think that's air you're breathing now?
His lesson is that in Elden Ring, you win by any means necessary, and sometimes the trick to beating a boss isn't found in the boss arena. Zhang, on the other hand, is the stern ballet instructor, J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, Lydia Tarr. He's a fucker. He demands that things be done his way because there is no other right way. You can't fuck off to the Weeping Peninsula to explore and delve into a dungeon for a magical sword. You can grind the level 1 goons in the brief area that precedes Zhang, but for the most part, the only way past him is to demonstrate that you understand the rules, and the rules is deflect everything. Let's talk about why that's important. Wolong is a world of bars.
You disrespectful son of a bitch! Don't punch me!
Not that kind. This kind. You and every enemy have two. One is the health bar, and you should probably already know what that is. I'm not going to explain it. But there's also the spirit bar.
You disrespectful son of a bitch! Don't punch me!
Not that kind. This bar can be positive or negative, but over time, it'll always return to the neutral position. Every time you miss a deflect, block an attack, use a heavy attack, cast a spell, or use a martial art, you burn spirit. If you bottom out, you get staggered and you have to take a long second to think about what you've done. Every basic attack or deflect you land gives you more spirit. Using a heavy spirit attack when you have a chunk of positive spirit will do a bunch more damage. So if you're having trouble with Zhang, it's possible that you're not managing your spirit properly. If you're not hip to that Zhang jazz, you're gonna be hitting the deflect button too soon or too late or just too many times. And each time you do, you're gonna be losing a bit of spirit. And eventually you're gonna bottom out and get punished. This is a lot harsher than in Elden Ring, where running out of stamina doesn't leave you completely vulnerable. You might also be instinctually holding block, which prevents your spirit from regenerating. And how are you doing that? What did I tell you about the block button? You might also be casting spells or doing spirit attacks when you're already in the red, which does more harm than good. And it's not just about managing your own bars. If you're just focused on the green, you're probably gonna die before you get anything done. Regular attacks do a tiny amount of damage to a boss's total health, and that's by design, because you're supposed to be manipulating their spirit bar. Each successive attack you land pushes it further into the negative. If you can get it to bottom out, you get a brief chance to do a deadly strike that blasts a huge chunk off their life bar. But at the start, that spirit bar is intimidatingly long. Successful deflects and spirit attacks shrink the total size of their spirit bar, and that makes it easier to bottom them out, and when they bottom out, it's stabby time. So those big, terrifying, glowing red attacks are actually a boon. Deflecting them is the most predictable, reliable way of knocking a huge chunk off Zhang's spirit bar. Manipulating these meters is the heart of Wolong's combat. Avoid damage and land hits till you got a bar of blue butter, spend it on a magic stab, and repeat. It's about filling meters and spending meters to fuck with somebody else's meters. And if you try to pretend those meters don't matter and that the rules don't apply to you, you're not gonna see the rest of the game. But maybe you get all this. Maybe Zhang is stomping you for the simplest, most intrinsic reason. The practice pyramid. The practice pyramid is a stupid term I came up with for this video, but it applies to lots of boss fights in the Soulsy genre and thousands of old school platformers and arcade games and RPGs and football. Not all games with multi-phase boss fights employ this pyramid of punishment. The incredibly good Hi-Fi Rush allows you to pick back up at the start of a specific boss phase that you failed on. This lets you have the drama of watching the big bad evolve and get more desperate without the challenge and frustration of fighting through the early phases again. But sometimes, challenge and frustration are the point.
Not quite my tempo.
We get better at things by repeating them. We get better by practicing. So every single attempt at Zhang is a successful practice run. You're getting the reps in. But when you reach phase 2, you've reached a phase of the fight that you haven't practiced for. And most of us aren't robots. The first dozen times you beat phase 1, chances are you're gonna do it by the skin of your teeth. So you're going into phase 2 with fewer healing supplies, you'll be mentally tired, and you'll be panicked because this guy is huge and covered in spikes and tentacles and he's not doing any of the stuff he was doing in phase 1. And when you're panicked, you're not learning. When you slip up in phase 2, it's back to phase 1, and you barely survived that last time, so you might be looking at a bunch more failed phase 1s before you even get another shot at practicing phase 2. The result is a boss fight structure that demands you go beyond survival and achieve mastery. You will have a lot of attempts at this fight, so by the time you're kind of okay at Phase 2, Phase 1 should just feel like the tune-up before a performance. My favorite example of this progression is the final fight in Sekiro, in which Genichiro Ashina is gradually transformed from a budding lightning god into a bumbling fail grandson who can't land a single hit on a one-armed man. And that is because you need to beat his ass every single time you want to have a word with his three-phase grandpa. Practice, practice, practice. The simple truth about this process is that it requires time and repetition. So that's probably the #1 reason Zhang is kicking your ass. You're rushing it.
И тут либо ты входишь в ритм, блядь, вот это хуй.
Oh my god.
Let's talk for just a minute about the role streamers play in all of this, because I think there are very public struggles, maybe coloring how difficult it seems to beat this boss. Even if you're concentrating, playing a game in front of people is harder than doing it alone. Your attention is divided between gaming and chatting and pushing all of the sliders and buttons, but also you're in the hot seat, which is stressful. But most importantly, the key to beating these bosses is time, repetition, and rest. There's a point in any session where you're getting diminishing returns on your practice, and the most helpful thing you can do is get up and go do something else. But a lot of streamers don't have or don't afford themselves the luxury of walking away and stewing on it because they gotta keep streaming. But that's not you. Take a break. Give yourself time. Stop blocking. And you'll take him down. But God help you if you make it to Lu Bu.